Hello again everyone, Mary Rose here at Stitch Bliss Corner, and you did see correctly, this is the last video that I'm going to be doing for Flosstube. I have been doing these videos now for about 3.5 years, something like that, and as you know, Harlequin, my husband, has helped me a lot with my videos, and he is heavily into family history and everything and research. And I think it's about time that I helped him and, gave him the support that he's been giving me. I really didn't intend to be doing videos for very long anyway. I mean, I only got into these videos to talk about couching and the great advantage that it is, as far as I'm concerned, over backstitch, how much more quick it is and the better effect that you have from it. And for gridding, that's what I mentioned in my very first video, not the gridding but the couching. Somehow or other I've stayed here for a lot longer than I thought I was going to be doing that. And it seems like a very good time for me to be bowing out, especially with the piece that I've just completed, which I don't think you can top that piece. So, I mean, I'll be continuing to be doing my stitching. It's just that I really don't think that I will be doing the pieces regularly enough anyway to be doing updates and everything, because as everybody who watches my channel knows, I do full coverage, and I think that when you're doing full coverage it just naturally takes longer. I mean, if you're doing the more primitive pieces and you enjoy doing those, well, I think they lend themselves very well to videos and updates, because they're a lot quicker and people seem to plow through those. And so anyway, I just thought that I would just mention things that come into my head for this final one. I was just laughing about something that happened a month or so ago at the supermarket, and there was a man who was standing in the middle of the confectionery aisle, and I think his girl, he was on the mobile, the cell phone Americans call them, but he was on his mobile phone for other people. And I heard him say, "Right, Sue, I'm in the chocolate aisle. What do you want?" And I couldn't resist. I said to him, "You are perfect." And as I went further down, he said, "Did you hear that? She said I was perfect." Well, I mean, wouldn't that be wonderful to have your husband or your boyfriend go to the supermarket and bring you up and ask you what you wanted from the chocolate aisle? I mean, he should be framed, that fella, and put on the wall. So anyway, that was quite funny. So shall we go on? I think we better. So what I will do now is go to the finished piece of Be Still My Soul from a painting by Mark Missman. Beautiful painting. And when you have seen these stages, then I will come back and discuss my findings for this piece. All right, so it was a joy to stitch that piece. Now, it was a model stitch because, as people who watch my videos are aware, it was that particular pattern was created using a computer program. Now, I have used this program twice before, and both times that I've used that program, I have found it to be pretty close to the picture that I was wanting. Now, for some reason, this last one, it hasn't come out as close to the original as I would have wanted. That doesn't mean that I don't like the stitching. I think it's lovely, and I think it has an ethereal quality all of its own. It's sort of almost translucent in its quality. You know, my husband says it looks as though he has lights behind his hands. You know, it's just, and it has got remarkable qualities. I'm very, very happy with it indeed. So I've got on my iPad what I'm trying to convey about the difference between this stitching compared to the other two pieces that I've stitched using this program. And I've put them, I'll show you what I've done. And I might get actually Harlequin to put up these as still pictures so you can get a better idea of what I'm getting at, because you'll be able to actually sit and look at it. But I've got them on the iPad here so you can just have a look. I'm hoping that I might just, yeah, I'll turn this light off here and you might be able to see it better. Right, now can you see? That's the original. Now that isn't actually the original painting because this is a print of our printer, and the original painting was darker in the colours. But what I'm trying to show you is, if you can see the face there of the Harlequin, this is actually called Mardi Gras, it's by Cézanne, you can see the faces there are pretty much fairly close. I mean, they are darker in the stitching than the actual painting, but nonetheless, they're fairly close. If you allow for the fact that that's not the original painting, they're pretty close. Right, that was the first. No, that wasn't the first one I did, but that's one that I did using this program. Now, this is the next one, and I had to use my phone for this picture. But that's the original painting. This is the Skating Minister. And you can see there that although the face is darker, it's still pretty close to the original. That original one that I've taken off the internet, I think it is a bit lighter because the the phone probably made it a bit lighter. But I'm just trying to, it's fairly true to the original painting. And I mean, if a painting inspires you to want to stitch it, you want to make it as close to the actual painting as you can. Now, this is where I come to this final one of Mark's paintings. Just ignore me in the dark here. I'll put the light back on in a minute. It just makes this show better. Can you see there? There is a marked difference at how much darker the face is compared to the stitched face. Now, and the colours are different. They're just different. Now, as I say, I'm still happy with it, so I'm not, that's fine. But it's just a mystery to Harlequin and myself as to why that happened when it didn't happen with the other two that we did. I'll just pop this back on again. Oh, gosh. It's like being in the headlights of a car, you know. So, I don't know. I really put that out as a warning to people that if you are using a computer program for your, you know, a picture that you want to stitch, that those little things can pop up. I don't know why that happened. And it shall forever remain a mystery, put it that way. And that's so I shall now get to the stitching in, you know, just to finish off. Here's Mark's original beautiful, beautiful painting. I mean, I just think it's, what can you say? It's just gorgeous. And I'm going to now just go over a little bit of this, the stitching here. Now, I did notice that under these lights, every little irregularity shows up, but when you've actually got it just in normal light, it just looks fine. So I think it's just because naturally enough, when you've got stronger light, it's just going to pick things that, you know, wouldn't not necessarily show otherwise. So I'll just try and show you a little bit closer up here the stitching. Now this is 20 count Ada, and Jesus, his robes and everything, they're 2/1, and see, it looks like there's a line that doesn't show in normal light, and the background is 1/1. And as you can see, it covers completely the white of the fabric. So if you're ever wondering whether you can do that, you certainly can on 20 count. Now the only thing is with 20 count, where you're doing 2/1, it's going to be more bulky. Your stitching is not going to be as even as if you did single count on 18. If you did single thread on 18 count for your background and the double thread for over 1 for your foreground, but with 18 count there's a little bit of white that can show through if you're using dark threads in the background and using a single thread. Of course, if it's all double thread, well, you don't have to worry at all, it's all going to be covered. But it's just trading off the difference of maybe having a bulkier foreground if you're using 2 threads for your main figure with the 20 count, or whether you're going to go for the 18 count to have a more even effect of your stitches. But your background, if you're using a single thread, it could show a bit of fabric through. Although the Impressionist painters, they said that a bit of white coming through the canvas was fine because it helped with the overall effect of it. So there you go. A little bit of trivia for you. Now, the other thing I wanted to discuss here is, see how there's a bit of pixelation here and here, which didn't happen with the other 2 pieces that I did. And in this case, I think it works quite well, really, because it gives him that ethereal kind of look, like he's sort of, I don't know, it just seems to coordinate very well with the rest of the with the ocean and everything else. I'll just turn this off for a second. It still doesn't. I don't know why it's doing that, but honestly, you have my word on it that it doesn't show all those ridges and things in real life. This is what the stitching looks like under normal lighting. So as you can see, there's a big difference. Right, so now that was the that was the stitching of that. So there you go. I mean, it was very enjoyable. I started in May, finished a day ago. So September, what was it? September something. Sorry, September the 8th I finished. Oh no, actually it was September 7 because yesterday I spent the day doing bobbins. So there you go. It did remind me, actually, somebody asked Jim Lovell. This was in the film Apollo 13, and Tom Hanks played Jim Lovell, the ones that were on Apollo 13 and were going to go to the moon, but they didn't get there. And they asked Jim Lovell why he was making this his final mission. And wait till I just find what he said. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. Right, back again. There was a truck outside roaring, so it's gone now. Yes, Jim Lovell. He said, "I'll be walking in a place where there is 400 degrees difference between sunlight and shadow. I can't imagine ever topping that." And I feel a little bit like that about this stitching. That for Flosstube at least, I can't imagine ever topping this piece. So it seems like a very good time to draw a close on my Flosstube career. So, and I want to sort of take this chance now to thank all those who have been, with me along my journey and watched my videos. All the ones who took time to make comments, good and bad. Mostly good, nearly all good. I would like to thank some standouts. One, of course, being Cindy from Cindy's Cross Stitch, Cindy DeRosa. She and I started around the same time, and she gave me a lot of encouragement, and she sent me the very first needle minders I've ever had, and I still only have hers, except for some that were sent to me apart from her. But yes, so I always think of Cindy because every day I can see them. I use them to hold my charts on my metal board, so they really come in handy. So thank you very much, Cindy. And it did remind me also of this beautiful piece that Cindy sent to me, and I have shown it before, but this is another piece that I see every day. And stitching, for someone to sit down and take the time to stitch something for someone, it's you really can't put into words the appreciation that another stitcher will have from that. Someone who is not a stitcher, I don't know that they fully appreciate the amount of effort and time that goes into doing something like that. And of course she meticulously finished it. It's just beautiful. And I would also like to mention Vonna, because she was another one that was one of the first to, say something very complimentary about one of my videos. And I mean, she is a legend, so, I give my thanks to her. Also, the beautiful Jani in Mexico. She did a video recently showing all her works, all her pieces and everything. And I thought there was one piece there that she stitched that wasn't there because she sent it to me. And again, the amount of work and time and effort that went into this beautiful piece, and she saw fit to send it to me. I still can't get over it. And it's in a vintage frame that she sent as well. Gorgeous. Birds and the Bees, I think it's called. And I mean, just look at it. All the work that went into that piece. And she sent it to me. Beautiful. And that's another piece that I look at every day, and it does inspire me with my stitching. So thank you so much, Johnny and Cindy, for sending me stitching like that. It's just wonderful. And of course Kelly, my stitching cousin, Kelly Bell, she hasn't been doing videos for a little while, but she, you know, often goes off and does her own thing. She's, what would you call, what did they used to call them? There's a name for it. Here I go, brain freeze. Well, she's a very arty person, put it that way. It's on the tip of my tongue, that word, but I can't think of it. I might get Harlequin to put it across the screen if I remember it. Bohemian, that's it. She's quite bohemian, and she's amazing. Of course, dear Kerry, Kitty Stitcher over there in the UK. It's always a great joy to watch her videos. And, you know, so many others. There are too many. I mention these people because there's a special reason, because I made a special connection with those people. But it doesn't mean that I don't appreciate all the other ones that I make comments about and you know, put comments on their videos and things like that. You know, it's just, there are too many really. I mean, stitchers are a certain type of person, I think. We all come from all various walks of life, but we all have the love for stitching in common. And there's such a vast array of stitching tastes. So, you know, I mean, my taste in stitching is very different to a lot of people that I still watch. But I don't stitch what they stitch, but they don't stitch what I stitch. And on it goes, like a little, like a merry-go-round, isn't it? Now, what else was I going to say? Oh, see, now that's another thing. Since I've been doing Flosstube for the past, years, I have neglected my reading. And I did listen to Anne of Green Gables the other while I was stitching. So I have used audiobooks, but I don't really like using them. But Anne of Green Gables is so good for escapism. You know, I mean, if things are just awful going on around you and you're just feeling helpless and hopeless and all the rest of it, the imagery of the prose and descriptions and the things Anne comes out with, you can't help but escape into that world of hers. It's almost giddying, the speed of her brain and just how deeply she goes into things. It must have been exhausting for the poor girl. But anyway, so this one here, one of my sons bought for me, The Romanovs by Simon Sebag Montefiore. And his wife writes as well. Apparently they have desks that face each other. They both tap away. And every now and again, probably ask each other for different, pieces of advice on what they're stitching, on what they're writing. And just amazing book. I mean, I've had a little bit of a dip into it, but I want to be able to just sit and do that if the mood takes me, and not think, I should be stitching really, because I need to do a Flosstube. That's not really how it is, but I think maybe in my subconscious it does sit there a little bit. And I am a bit of a free spirit, you know. I sort of do things and then I move on. So yeah, I'm just looking to see if there are any particular photos in here. But yeah, so it's going to be very interesting. Who's that one? Oh, Catherine the Great. Well, there you are. There's Catherine the Great there. And there is a video. Marlene Dietrich plays her. It's a 1930s film. I do have it. And that's really quite a remarkable film to watch, even though it's so old and, you know, a bit crackly. It is a very good film. Now, was there anything else? Oh, I suppose really, now I'm just going to say that this stitching that I've done, and all of my stitching, is done with DMC and a hoop, various sizes of hoops. So don't feel that you have to have expensive frames or expensive threads or anything else. You don't need those things. If you want them and you can afford them, and you know, fine. But you know, don't ever feel any kind of pressure to use silks or use this or use that, because that's what there is there that you should be using. I mean, yeah, it's best not to break the bank, you know, because I think it can cause problems with relationships even, which is crazy. It's crazy for stitching to cause problems like that. You know, it's a bit like stash. I mean, you know, you get a chart because you think, oh, I might not be able to get it in the future. So you might get, I don't know, 50 charts, because one day you're going to stitch one of them. Why not just wait and get the one that you want when you want it? Even if it is dearer, it's still going to be cheaper than if you buy 50 charts and stitch only one of them. You may as well just wait, and when the mood takes you, get your chart then. I think now that there's the internet there, it's a lot easier to hunt down these unicorn charts than it used to be, put it that way. I mean, I've never been one for a big stash of anything, because I know what it's like when the bug bites you. You know, when you see something, you think, I must have that. And I do understand. But the trouble is, there are some things you fall in love with the picture, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you really, really want to stitch it. You know, because there are lots. It's like going into an art gallery and seeing, you know, hundreds of paintings and wishing, oh, you know, I wish I had that one, I wish I had that one. But you haven't got enough walls for them all anyway, apart from anything else. So it's just, you know, just to keep things in a sensible context, shall we say. I'll just have a quick look and see. I did make a note or two here, but I haven't looked at it, but I'll have a quick look here just to see if there's anything. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I want to say. I just, again, want to thank everybody. I want to wish everybody well for the future, for their stitching, for their stitching channels. I mean, I haven't exactly set the world of Flosstube on fire. But it's been very nice for the people who come over here and spend some time with me. I think they just find me, which is lovely and has been lovely. I would, of course, like to thank my husband for all his endeavours, his encouragement and everything else. And, you know, he's just been marvellous. So thank you very much, Harlequin, for all your work on my behalf. And with that, I think I will call it to a close. I will be leaving my videos up that I've done already. And that's it. So I'm on my way rejoicing. Thank you once again, and goodbye from Mary Rose at Stitch Bliss Corner.